My phone vibrated again with a frantic message from my son. Marcus, Mom, Grandma and Grandpa are moving all our stuff to the basement. They won't listen to us. I stared at the screen, disbelief flooding over me as my hands shook. Here I was, Elizabeth Morgan, 36, trying to get through another regular Tuesday at my law firm where I work as a senior paralegal, but instead, I was reading desperate texts from my kids about my in-laws' latest overstep. Your room is perfect for Lily, came my mother-in-law's text right after. She needs the space more than Marcus and Sophia. They can share the basement. It's finished, and they're old enough to understand. Lily, my brother-in-law Mark's 8-year-old daughter, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, the one my in-laws had been bending over backward for ever since Mark lost his job and moved back home with her. I took a deep breath, my legal mind kicking in. Stay calm, document everything, please stop moving my kids' things. I typed back, we'll discuss this when I get home. There's nothing to discuss, came the immediate response. We've already decided the basement is perfectly fine for the kids. Marcus and Sophia were 14 and 12, and the basement had been strictly off limits since we moved in. Too damp, too dangerous, too many exposed pipes, but now, suddenly, it was suitable for them to live there? I glanced at the photo of my mom on my desk, her smiling face a reminder of the promise I made her 5 years ago when she passed. She left me this house, asking me to always protect my children. 2 years after her death, my in-laws moved in when Robert, my husband, insisted they needed help with medical bills, just temporarily, he said. Now, they were acting as though they owned the place. Another text from Sophia, Mom, they're taking down all our posters. Grandma says they're too childish for Lily. I grabbed my purse and car keys. I'm on my way home. I messaged, stay calm, everything will be okay. The drive felt endless. I kept thinking about the document locked in my office safe, the one my in-laws had no clue existed, the one that would change everything. When I arrived home, the sight that greeted me made my blood boil. Marcus and Sophia sat on the steps, tears in their eyes. Their belongings were strewn haphazardly in the garage, books, clothes, gaming consoles, Sophia's art supplies, just thrown around carelessly. My mother-in-law, Helen, stood by the door, arms crossed, looking smug. Elizabeth, good, you're home. We've made some changes for Lily, she said, her voice oozing triumph. The children are making this difficult. I walked right past her, heading straight for my kids. Pack your bags, I said firmly, just the essentials for now. What? Helen's voice raised. Where do you think you're taking them? I turned to face her, my voice steady. To a hotel for now, since you've decided my kids don't deserve their own rooms anymore. Don't be dramatic, she scoffed. The basement is perfectly fine. Besides, Lily needs. Lily needs? I interrupted. What about my children's needs? Their privacy, their stability, their sense of security in their own home? This is for the best, my father-in-law, George, chimed in, appearing behind Helen. Lily's going through a tough time with her dad's situation. She needs a proper space to grow. I ignored them as I helped my kids grab what they needed. Robert was still at work, conveniently absent when his parents overstepped, though I knew he probably sided with them anyway. He always did. Mom, Sophia whispered, clutching her backpack, are we really leaving? I gave her a reassuring squeeze on the shoulder. Just for a little while, sweetheart, trust me. As we made our way to the car, Helen shouted, you're being ridiculous, Elizabeth, think about what this will do to the family. I helped my kids into the car and turned to face my in-laws one last time. Oh, I'm thinking about family, I said, my voice calm. I'm thinking about how you've forgotten whose house this is. Their smug expressions faltered. Good, let them worry. What's that supposed to mean? George demanded. I smiled and started the car. You'll find out soon enough. As we drove away, I caught a glimpse of them in the rearview mirror, probably already plotting how to twist this to Robert. They had no idea what was coming. They didn't know that in the morning, my lawyer would be serving them with papers that would change everything. Mom, Marcus asked from the back seat, what's going to happen now? I looked at him in the mirror. Now, sweetheart, we're going to teach Grandma and Grandpa a very important lesson about respect and ownership. The hotel I'd booked was just 10 minutes from home, close enough to school, far enough to keep some distance from the drama. As I watched my children settle in, my phone buzzed with more messages from Robert demanding to know what I was doing. I ignored them all. Tomorrow would bring enough confrontation. Tonight was about ensuring my kids felt safe. That's what my mom would have wanted. And the house deed sitting safely in my office would ensure her wishes were respected. The next morning, I drove in early to work. I needed to retrieve something from my office safe, the document that would change everything. My mother's lawyer had advised me to keep it safe, warning me that family situations were unpredictable. How right she was. Robert's messages had flooded in overnight, 5 voicemails, each more urgent than the last. "You're overreacting," he'd said. "Come home, and we can work this out like adults." Helen and George had gone down the guilt route, texting about family loyalty, how I was traumatizing poor Lily. Even Mark had joined in, telling me how his daughter needed stability during this tough time. No one mentioned my children's needs. I retrieved the deed from my safe, along with the other papers my lawyer had prepared. The truth was, I'd been expecting something like this for years. Helen and George had been testing boundaries, seeing how far they could push. Moving my kids to the basement wasn't just crossing a line, it was trampling over it. As I was going over the papers, my colleague Jessica popped her head into the doorway. "Ready?" she asked, offering a reassuring smile. She had helped me prepare for this moment as a real estate attorney. "More than ready," I said, checking the time. "The process server should be arriving at my house now." I'd arranged for the documents to be served during breakfast, the time my in-laws always insisted on having together. Well, everyone but my children, who had been relegated to the basement with their meals. My phone buzzed again, a text from Robert. "What the hell, Elizabeth? Why is there a process server at our door?" I didn't respond. Instead, I gathered my things and headed to the conference room. Robert had received a separate notice to attend a family legal consultation at my firm. He had no idea what was coming. The next hour crawled by as I kept checking my phone, watching the messages flood in. "Helen, this is outrageous. You can't do this. George, we're family. How could you treat us like this? Mark, my daughter needs stability. You're being selfish." Finally, Robert stormed into the conference room, red-faced and furious. "What is this?" he demanded, waving legal papers, an eviction notice for my parents. I stayed calm, sitting at the table with Jessica by my side. "Sit down, Robert. We need to talk about the house. Specifically, who owns it? What's going on?" "We own this place together," Robert said, confused. "No," I responded calmly, sliding the deed across the table. "We don't. My mother left this house to me, not to both of us. It was never joint property." Robert's face drained of color as he read the document. "This can't be right," he stammered. "It's absolutely correct," Jessica said in a businesslike tone. "The house has always been in Elizabeth's name. Your parents have been living there as guests, and they've overstayed their welcome, crossing the line and violating the rights of the legal owner's children." Robert slumped into a chair, staring blankly at the papers. "But they're my parents," he muttered. "They need a place to stay. They need to understand boundaries." I corrected him. "They need to respect that they can't just move my children out of their rooms and take over the house. They need to remember who owns it." "And Mark, Lily, where are they supposed to go?" he asked. "That's not my problem," I said flatly, though I felt for my niece. "Mark needs to figure it out. He's been taking advantage of your parents' generosity for too long, and now they've been doing the same to me." Just then, my phone buzzed with a message from Marcus. "Mom, Grandma and Grandpa are packing their things. They look really angry." Good, I thought, as the process server did their job. "The eviction notice gives them 30 days, I explained to Robert. "That's more than fair, considering they tried to push our children into the basement without any discussion." "You can't do this," he said weakly. "Actually, she can," Jessica interrupted, her tone firm. "And if your parents don't comply with the eviction notice, we're prepared to take further legal action." Robert looked at me, really looking at me for the first time in a long while. "Why didn't you tell me about the deed? Would it have made a difference?" I asked softly. "Would you have stood up to your parents when they decided to move our children out of their rooms? Would you have protected Marcus and Sophia's rights to feel secure in their own home?" His silence said it all. "I love you, Robert," I said, my voice softening just a little, "but our children come first. Your parents have crossed boundaries for 2 years, and yesterday, they went too far." He rubbed his eyes tiredly. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to support this decision," I said firmly. "Help your parents and Mark find somewhere else to live, but most importantly, understand that our children's well-being isn't negotiable." As Robert left the room, looking defeated, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The hard part wasn't over. There would still be drama, guilt trips, and accusations, but for the first time in years, I felt like I was in control of my own home. A message from Sophia buzzed on my phone. Grandma's crying and saying we're tearing the family apart. Are we bad people, Mom? I quickly replied, no, sweetheart, sometimes doing the right thing feels hard, but I promise you, we're doing the right thing. The next few weeks were filled with emotional turmoil. Helen and George alternated between cold silence and fiery outbursts, making the house feel like a war zone. Mark had already found an apartment, taking Lily with him. Apparently, he had been saving money all along but had been too comfortable living rent-free at my expense. One evening, as I was helping Marcus and Sophia settle back into their rooms, Helen appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. I hope you're happy, she said, bitterness lacing her words. You've destroyed this family. I ignored her and continued hanging Sophia's artwork. No, Helen, you destroyed this family when you decided our children were less important than your grandchild. We were trying to help everyone, she said, defending herself. Lily needed her father to step up, I said, not for you to enable him and sacrifice my children's well-being in the process. George appeared behind her, his face grim. We found a condo, he said. We'll be out by the end of the week. Not that you've given us much choice. I'm glad to hear it, I said calmly, smoothing out Sophia's bedspread. I hope your new place helps you remember the importance of respecting boundaries. Without another word, they left, but I could hear Helen sobbing in the hallway. Once, that sound would have made me feel guilty. Now, it just confirmed I'd made the right choice. Robert had been staying at a hotel, needing space to think. He came over that weekend, looking more humble than I'd seen him in years. I talked to Mark, he said, sitting at the kitchen table. He admitted he'd been taking advantage of the situation. He's actually making good money at his new job. He just didn't want to pay rent, and your parents enabled that. I poured coffee for both of us, just like they enabled his irresponsibility when we were first married. Robert nodded slowly. I see it now, how they always made excuses for him. I was so used to it. I didn't realize how unfair it was to you and the kids. From upstairs, I heard Marcus laughing, real, genuine laughter. He and Sophia were decorating their rooms, reclaiming their spaces. It seemed to affect Robert deeply. I failed them, he said quietly. I failed you too. Yes, I replied, but you can do better now, starting with supporting this change instead of fighting it. He reached across the table and took my hand. I want to come home, he said softly. I want to make this right. I squeezed his hand, but my voice remained firm. You can come home, but things will be different. Our children come first, always. No more letting your parents overstep. No more enabling Mark's irresponsibility at our family's expense. I understand, he said, and for the first time, I believed him. The day Helen and George moved out, there were no tearful goodbyes, no dramatic scenes. They packed their car in silence, pointedly avoiding me as I oversaw everything from the porch. But just before they left, Helen turned to me. You think you've won, she said coldly, but you've lost something precious, family. I met her gaze calmly. No, Helen, I protected my family. You're the ones who forgot what family really means. As their car drove away, Marcus and Sophia came to stand beside me. Are they going to hate us forever? Sophia asked quietly. I pulled her close. They don't hate us, sweetheart. They're just learning a tough lesson about consequences. Sometimes, love means setting boundaries, even when it hurts. That evening, we shared our first peaceful family dinner in weeks. Robert was home, the kids were laughing, and the house felt lighter. As I watched my family truly together for the first time in years, I thought about my mother. She had left me this house as a legacy, a foundation for my children's future. By standing firm, by refusing to let others diminish that legacy, I'd honored her memory and protected what mattered most. Mom, Marcus said suddenly, I'm proud of you for standing up to them. Tears welled in my eyes. Thank you, sweetheart. I'm proud of you too, both of you, for being so strong through all of this. Robert squeezed my hand. We all are, he said softly. You did the right thing. Later that night, as I tucked Sophia into bed in her own room, not the basement, never the basement, she hugged me tightly. I love you, Mom, she whispered. Thank you for fighting for us. As I closed the door behind her, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. I saw what Helen and George had missed, what Robert had finally realized, not just a wife or a daughter-in-law, but a mother who would move heaven and earth to protect her children. Sometimes, the greatest victory isn't about winning a battle, it's about choosing the right battles to fight. And sometimes, protecting your family means standing up to the very people who should have been protecting it with you. Thanks for watching, and And I'll see you in the next video. Stay stunned.